As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. We are covering the case of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He's been missing from his home since February 26, 2024. According to everything that we have learned about this case, Sebastian Rogers was last seen on February 25, 2024, while dining with his mother at a local steak restaurant known as the Texas Roadhouse. Allegedly, he left the Texas Roadhouse about 6:22 to 6:25 in the evening, and they proceeded their way home. We do have audio information confirming that Sebastian did in fact arrive to his house on Stafford Court the evening of Sunday, February 25th. Around 6 a.m. on February 26th, his mother allegedly awoke, went to go wake up her son, and found his bed empty. After looking around the home for several minutes, she ended up calling her husband, which was allegedly 3.5 hours away in Memphis, Tennessee, at what is dubbed the St. Jude's Project. Since then, the roads were filled up with a lot of law enforcement. A huge and massive search effort went underway to find Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. They ended up within 24 hours releasing an Amber Alert. We're learning a lot about these Amber Alert system and the strict criteria needed to get a person on the Amber Alert. So how is it Sebastian got on this Amber Alert without evidence of an abduction 24 hours after he was reported missing? These are a lot of questions that we have no answers to as we're working this case. What I can tell you is their statements have changed wildly. Here are a few examples of the wild changes.
He is asked, would he be able to ride a city bus?
Nothing is off the table as far as abilities. Could the young man get on a bus? I'm sure he could.
We've never done it before.
We've never rode a city bus, so I don't think he understands the process. He doesn't have any sense of money. He may have, like, let's say a $20 bill in his hand, but he doesn't truly understand what $20 would get him.
He's good
Right.
at it, but he doesn't
I understand.
Time and money.
It seems awfully funny that, he just can't seem to take care of himself. He doesn't really know much. But when we hear his father talk about him, Seth Rogers, he describes his son more capable than we've ever heard. He says his son is so capable, he goes fishing, he can shoot a gun. There's a lot of stuff that Sebastian does that, from the information we had from the mom and stepfather, we wouldn't believe. And just recently, after the 1-year milestone of this young man being missing, the mom and stepdad come out and say there was a misunderstanding about their son and his capabilities. That's kind of odd. Let's listen to that.
With his autism, is there anything else that we should add that you want the public to know right now?
I would say that he is what they would consider high functioning. He's not he doesn't struggle with verbal communication, but he does, he does struggle sometimes with expressing himself, is, I guess, the best way that I could put that. But he's so smart, and he's so capable, and that I think the initial image of him that was portrayed was misleading to an extent.
Yes, very much misleading to an extent. They're the ones that were feeding the public the information about their son. So why were they being so dubious in explaining the capabilities he had early on? They treated him, or put him into the minds of the people looking for him, that he had an infant's mind. And that is completely untrue. We're going to be diving into this and more today on the Bullhorn Betty channel.
I struggle to put words to how it feels, honestly. The amount of ups and downs, the amount of like possible leads that haven't panned out. I miss him so much. So at this point, it's keep searching. People keep looking, keep searching, keep looking. We keep putting up new flyers. I know a lot of places, they take them down after so long. We just keep going back and putting more up. I refer to my original request, just to anyone that's willing, don't let him become forgotten. Don't let him become lost in the next story. Not to supersede other children, because they all deserve just as much, if not more, attention, because all children do. But I would say just please don't let him become forgotten and lost, because we're never gonna stop. We're never gonna let that happen if we can help it.
And I hope you stick around to learn a little more about these mysterious statements from the mom and stepdad and the recanting thereof. God bless. Well, welcome back, guys. It's nice to see you. Welcome back to the Bullhorn Betty Show, where facts meet intuition. It's nice to see everybody. I see we're getting a full house already, 200 and some odd people. Please don't forget to tell the moderators thank you for keeping the chat safe and clean for all of you folks. And thank you for being here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but just recently, the Deception Detective just dropped a new video about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and we're going to discuss that. While we're not going to play it, it was just recently dropped, and we just don't do that. I am going to ask you guys to go over and watch it, but since you are already here, we're going to go through some key takeaways from the Deception Detective's new video. If one of the mods have the link, please throw it in the chat for everybody so they have the information. We have several people having doctor's appointments this week of serious things. We've got some good news for some people. We've got some bad news for some people. We've got a lot of people that need prayer, including our very own Turkey Man. He's still requesting prayers for his family. He lost his brother, and they're just reeling from that. So if you guys could make sure, it's Sunday, it's Palm Sunday. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I'm very sorry I am as late as I am doing my first show today, but I had a lot of stuff to get prepared. As you know, I've got to go back to Tennessee. I was never supposed to have left Tennessee if not for unprofessional conduct from an attorney. So we're back here, The Deception Detective, hosted by an attorney-trained statement analysis. He releases details, breakdown of Katie Proudfoot's latest TV interview. And of course, the findings are deeply unsettling. This is related to the strange, the strange behavior surrounding Sebastian Rogers. He's a 16-year-old boy that disappeared from inside his locked home where his military trained mother was living with him. There's no signs of forced entry, and there's no evidence that he ever left the home. And so there is growing suspicion related to Katie Proudfoot as well as Christopher Proudfoot's involvement. Without saying, from last night's live, you guys know that I am an amateur when it comes to AI. And so this whole AI world is pretty interesting to me, and I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right. All I know is I'm feeding stuff in and asking it questions, and it's giving me the answers out. So I did break down, I put the transcript of Smiley's Stories world into it. Now, I'm not asking it to break down anything. I'm wanting to know whether this is normal behavior, whether there's red flags, what AI is telling me. So we're going to go over those findings as well. So I think I said hi to everybody with you guys coming in. I've been trying, especially when I have longer openings, putting your good afternoons or good mornings in the bottom, so you guys can see I am seeing you, and it'll help us speed things along because I try to keep these right around an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes we spill over to 2 hours, but it's very few and far between. So I wanted to go over some of the key takeaways tonight from The Deception Detective that he honed in on and pointed out. The first one is when the parents of a missing children speak publicly, we expect them to use present tense, showing hope that their child is alive. And of course, the Deception Detective picked up the slip. He picked up whenever she was referring to him as he would have turned 16. She caught herself and composed herself, but it didn't change the fact that Katie slipped. And she slipped within the first minute of this highly edited video, by the way. That video with Holly Thompson, that was highly, highly, highly edited. I think it was the one with Holly Thompson. It might have been with the other girl. Was it with Holly Thompson or the other girl? I think it was with... No, I think it might have been with the other girl, the 17, I think. I can't remember which news reporter it was that she was with. But anyways, she slipped within the first minute of that highly edited video. When asked if anything... Oh, excuse me. Hold on. I'm still past tense. So that is a chilling indication she may already know his fate, according to the Deception Detective. The second one is genuine parents cooperate openly during interviews. So he made notation that Katie was evasive. When asked if anything unusual happened the night Sebastian vanished, she hesitated. It was the reporter that had to fill in her silence, suggesting it was a normal night. Which Katie simply just repeated. She never answered the question. So he was picking up on her lack of cooperation, her really not answering any questions, or being prompted to do so. The third, her answers were vague. He indicates the answers were vague. He also showed the card of the past tense for the first one that I read about. He would have turned 16. He pulled out one of his deception deck cards out of his deception deck and showed that. Now, the third was the answers were vague. Instead of describing what she saw in Sebastian's room that morning, like things like a tussled bed sheets or an open window. She only said what wasn't there. This is classic deflection, telling what wasn't seen instead of what was. And that is definitely very interesting that he picked up on. The fourth, sincere parents facing the unknown usually address their missing child or any potential abductor. We've all discussed this many times about why is she not begging for Sebastian to pick up the phone, begging for whoever may have him to let him go, pleading with this alleged abductor. We're not getting any of that from either mom or stepfather, and we've never gotten any of that. Whereas the father, Seth Rogers, is constantly saying, keep it about my son, keep it about my son, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. If you hear me, get away, call 911. You're constantly hearing him say those things without being prompted to say those. But whenever you hear these interviews consistently from one interview to the next, it's always the news reporter prompting them to say something about the child. So she's directly through the camera is what he stated. But Katie didn't. Even when prompted to send a message to Sebastian, she didn't look in the camera. She spoke about what she would say, but she didn't speak to him. So he pointed that out. And the fifth key takeaway that I grabbed. There may be more. These are the 5 I grabbed. There was no spontaneous call for public help. The deception detective, pointed out to his audience that it was the reporter that actually did the call to action in her segment. So it was not Katie who gave the viewers the number to call if they spotted Sebastian. So, what does all this mean? Obviously, the deception detective, is highlighting this, and he's called the deception detective for a reason, right? So he doesn't outright accuse Katie of harming her son, but he points out her behaviors that consistently match patterns of other people that he deems hoaxsters, such as Susan Smith, and Scott Peterson was his other example. He also brought in the McCann family. I guess he's doing skits on the McCann child that was, she wasn't abducted from this country, but another one. Also, the awkward language, the passive responses, the absence of emotional urgency, they don't add up. Katie's final quote in the interview says, "We're never going to stop searching." And this is a key point that the deception detective picked up. But she doesn't say what or who they're searching for. It echoes the hollow promises made by those who already know there's no one left to find. So we're going to also remind everybody that there is a massive reward on the table for any information that leads to Sebastian's whereabouts or the safe return of Sebastian. Anything that leads to Sebastian knowing what happened to Sebastian and the successful prosecution of those that caused this issue that we are now facing. I want to remind everybody, I believe the reward's up to $447,000. And I've seen a few flyers going around, and I don't know if that $447,000 is encompassing of the $50,000 FBI reward, because there's flyers that I just saw today that show 50 and like 397, and when you add those up, those are 447. So it confused me if there's, if that reward was both inclusive. Hey, Wardy Eagle, both inclusive of, that $50,000 FBI reward. So if you do have any information, please reach out to 1-800-TBI-FIND or Sumner County Sheriff's Office immediately. I forgot to write down the sheriff's office number on my sheet. I apologize. I was meaning to go grab that, but I forgot to do the Google search, or I just plain forgot to copy and paste. I'm not sure. So last night we were going over a lot of information about Christopher Proudfoot and his behavior on these various panels, these various hate / whatever you want to call them. Everybody tries to say they're drama. I've never seen, I watched drama my whole life, and I've never seen no crap like this called drama. This is straight filth and hate. But either way, we were able to get enough information from a couple of the lives that were done where he was on there acting a fool in my opinion, right? I mean, he's got a missing child and he's talking about toys and Crocs and boiling Crocs and overalls and wheezing and soda, and it was deplorable. It was deplorable. I feel so bad for Sebastian. It's not funny, but he's so proud of himself to say how he loves to make this boy come back crawling to him to beg him for stuff, and making the mom and the father do the same thing. It goes beyond comprehension. So I've been doing this psychological and behavioral profile. And so I started thinking, okay, we kind of did, Chris last night. And of course, the deception detective was covering Katie pretty much today. So I figured I would take the whole review of the deception detective, plug it into this AI program, and then take all of Smiley's World's interview and plug that in. But Smiley's World's interview was too long to plug in by text. So I actually had to convert it to a PDF and then upload the PDF and have it analyze the PDF. So that was the only way I could work around because it was so stinking long. But I had them rerun. These are very minor, these are not in totally detailed profiles, but they do give us a little insight on the psychological and behavioral profiles. I did one of Chris again, one of Katie again, and one of them both. And, their relationship together. And I thought that this was pretty interesting. And of course, it's just based on their presence in the two interviews that I plugged up. So I think as I start plugging in more of their interviews, we'll get more of a honed in behavioral and psychological analysis. I really do. But so far, and this really hits the nail on the head, folks. I got to be honest with you. I mean, right here, I went ahead and printed it out, right? I cut and pasted it and I printed it out. And it says, this is the one for Chris Proudfoot. And then I got another one that was generated here that we're also going to kind of read over. Oh, thank you, Sorta Morta. Sorta Morta just gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Sorta Morta thank you. And for the 5 beautiful people that just came aboard to this insane asylum, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. It's going to be a bumpy ride. So external presentation. AI notes dominates verbal communication, projects strength and control, acts as the front-facing defender of the family, deflects blame, and maintains tight narrative control. Control dynamics. Chris is a dominant partner. He controls public interactions, legal responses, and media appearances. Displays corrosive emotional control, steering conversations, and narratives. Psychological pairing. Protective of the team mentality, emotional authoritative, and image conscious, prioritize perception over genuine emotion. So far, out of a 1 to 10, how well has AI done so far? I'll give you guys about a minute to kind of tell me, 1 to 10 so far, how has AI been doing? Hey, girl mom, groovy gal, Sonia, hindsight, it's nice to see you. The real me too. Thought criminal, it's nice to see you. Whispering winds. I don't know when this thing became so darn touchy, but it gets a little touchy every now and again. It's pretty stinking good so far. It's pretty stinking good. It's now been fed 3 solid interviews. So it's been fed 3 solid interviews. So far, I think it's pretty accurate. So, reaction under pressure. Media questions. Aggressive, defensive, and shifts blame. So this is out of 3 interviews that I plugged in here. That's what AI is picking up on. Criticism or suspicion. Threatens critics. It picked up on threatens critics. Uses adversarial language. Legal pressure. Likely initiated hiring of criminal defense attorneys. Summary. Chris acts as a controlling, defensive leader. He shows behaviors consistent with shielding, narrative steering, and aggressive public protection, often indicative of guilt or a need to control outcomes. I don't understand AI either, Kara Loves. Like I said, I'm an amateur at this. I figured I would plug some stuff in. I know, Andrea, it feels dead on to me. It's everything I've been observing. You know, I didn't plug in my opinions in this, folks. I just put it up there and asked it some questions. I put these things in there and then I started asking it questions based upon what these statements are. That's all. To me, it's like that. Remember when I told you I didn't know how to, enhance videos to see? It wasn't one of those things until you get in there and you try and you see what spits out. So clearly it's picking up on this, on the stuff. Now, here's one we haven't done. We haven't talked about Katie Proudfoot. This is interesting. So external presentation, subdued and passive in public settings. Defers to Chris for leadership in conversation. Attempts to project sadness. Now listen, attempts. This is what AI says. Attempts to project sadness and vulnerability. I honestly, it picked up that she's attempting to do this. Not that she has or that she is. That it's picking up she's trying to have this appearance, which is interesting, right? Control dynamics. She follows Chris's lead. Shows signs of learned helplessness. Look at this. Shows signs of learned. 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 Shows signs of learned helplessness and emotional dependency. Even AI sees through them. I know. Avoids confrontation and detailed answers, except when she's out in front of a courthouse. Then she doesn't mind confrontation. It doesn't seem like anybody from their clan minds confrontation. Remember, they're the ones that like to run ex-wives over with babies in their hands. That's the kind of family that Sebastian was subjected to. Melanie, thank you. God bless you. Melanie gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Melanie thank you and welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. Ahí the insanos I love. grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. And thank you, Melanie. I did see you saying hi to me this morning. I saw a bunch of you from the coffee club at church this morning saying hi. But many of you know, typically I have it on the TV. I can't really respond. I try to grab the phone and respond, but I am worshiping during Sunday. So occasionally I'll come in there and throw a heart. If I see somebody talking to me, I don't do crosstalk in church. I'm sorry. I know you guys do, and I love seeing you guys worship together like that. But I'm always trying to listen to the message, so I don't really respond too much. But no, I'm there, and I see your comments. And so I want to say thank you for coming and brightening my day this morning in church. So Katie's psychological pairing is emotionally dependent on Chris. Allows herself to be steered publicly and privately. Shares an image-conscious approach, though with more emotional fragility. Reaction under pressure. Situation, media questions. Withdrawn, vague, and parrots Chris's stance. It says that. Parrots Chris's stance. Criticism or suspicion. Silent, passive avoidance. Legal pressure. Complies with Chris-led strategies. It's picking up on this. Summary. Katie behaves like a passive accomplice, relies on Chris for direction. Her behavior suggests emotional dependency and a prioritization of survival over truthfulness, often seen in codependent and controlled relationships. Now, psychological and behavior profile for Chris and Katie Proudfoot as a couple. Chris leads, Katie follows. This is under external presentation. Chris leads, Katie follows. They present a unified defensive front. Public appearance shows imbalance. Chris speaks and Katie defers. Control dynamic. Chris is the narrative controller. Katie is the complaint follower. Emotional and decision-making control is heavily weighed toward Chris. Psychological pairing. Chris acts as the protector and mouthpiece. I think I'm starting to like AI. I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm starting to like AI. Katie acts as a passive, supportive partner. Both prioritize external image over emotional authenticity. Wow. Reaction under pressure. Situation, media question. Chris, aggressive and controlling. Katie, passive and vague. Dynamic. Chris leads, Katie follows. Criticism. Threatens and attacks. Chris threatens and attack. Katie withdraws. Dynamic. Chris attacks and Katie retreats. Legal development. Chris is a proactive defense and puts in parentheses lawyers. And Katie complaint with plan. Chris strategizes. Katie supports. Overall summary. Chris and Katie Proudfoot function as a tightly codependent pair under intense public scrutiny. Chris drives the narrative and shields Katie, while Katie supports Chris and minimizes her own independent public engagement. This dynamic resembles those seen in cases involved concealment of guilt, internalized complicity. Wow. And then we go just a little bit deeper. How's everything going now? So far, let's gauge the chat one more time. so far on the three reports, Chris by himself, Katie by herself, and Chris and Katie as a husband and wife, as a pair. What do you think between the numbers between 1 and 10? What is your feeling of the accuracy of AI so far? The Real Me Too says spot on. Denise says even AI can read them like a wide open children's book. Lady for Justice just arrived. I missed something big, apparently. We'll go back over it. Priscilla put a heart. Whispering Wrens put a 20. I love it. I love it. Brandy says, just as we saw her do in Chronicle O interview, Katie drawing up. Yep. Carol says 10. Kim says you should make AI Barbies on them. Come on, everyone is doing it. Lisa B always says 10. Mama Rissa says bam, 100%. Bullseye. Heather says 10. Eileen says 10. Sonia says 10. Right on target. Wow. I think we're going to do Gam Gams. Giving it a 9. Thanks for being honest, Gam Gam. Love it. I'll take a 9. Lori. Lori's in the chat says 1. You're either just trying to be the devil's advocate or you are just completely not with it. I don't know which, but God bless you. God bless you. Groovy Gal says 100%. Christy 10. Priscilla 10. Stacy 10. So we got a lot of 10s up in here. Nadine says, did you do Seth's? Because I'm pretty sure it would be completely different from... Ooh, very interesting. No, I haven't plugged any of Seth's interviews in. Maybe I'll plug 3 in and give a full dynamic. Wow, that would be great. That'll have to be when I get back from Tennessee. But Nadine, somebody send me an email and remind me of that. Do one for Seth, and let's do like a whole family, one, and see what we can learn. That would probably be interesting. So we got a lot of 10s. Thank you. They are evenly yoked. Okay, Judy, it's nice to see you. Right on the money, she says. Canada Blue says 10. Leah says 8. Thank you for being honest. I'll take an 8. I'll take 10s. Hindsight says 11. I'll take a 9. I mean, I'm taking it. A 1, I think, so a little ridiculous. A 2. I mean, if you can't see through this, why are you in true crime? I'm asking. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm asking. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy. It's nice to see you. But, in true crime, it requires you to think outside of the box. It requires you to use your common sense and use your problem-solving skills. And I got to tell you, when I see some people out there that can't even use their problem-solving skills, it's like, why are you here? I mean, if you just want the story, that's fine, but you're not good at it. You're not good at it. All right, so we kind of went a little bit further, and I kind of like the layout of this one. So I actually, which it has some of the same information on it, but I wanted to, it's a nice and clean. And so it says, and so this is kind of the behavioral observation. So this is the behavioral and psychological profile from like an observation perspective. And it says for Chris, behavior observation appears controlling during conversations. I think we've all picked up on that. So much so that people ask, why don't you let Katie talk? Remember that last year? We were all wondering why Katie wasn't talking. We were like, blink twice if you need help, you know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't know the situation. Everybody really thought Chris was responsible for, I still think he's in part responsible for Sebastian, but not as much as I think the culpability lies squarely on Katie at this point. But because she was the only one in the house with Sebastian. It's a proven fact. She was the only one in the house with Sebastian at the time he disappeared. What happened after? We see a car. Was somebody else there? Maybe. Did that person, we've got hindsights in our chat right now. She enhanced a video, not an image, a video, and it clearly shows somebody walking with a flippin' blob on them. What's the blob? And why is that blob coming from a house that is missing a boy? So, appears controlling during conversations, exhibits defensive behavior, shows signs of agitation and impatience. I think we've all seen that. Often reframes conversations to focus on external threats or to blame others. Lacks visible grief reaction typical in an innocent missing child's parent. Struggles with expressing empathy spontaneously. The psychological profile, likely controlling personality, high need for dominance, possible narcissistic traits, focuses on external image, low emotional expressivity under stress, defensive coping style, could view questions as attacks, focuses on cleaning personal name versus proactive help-seeking Sebastian. So far, I don't know. I think AI has Mr. Proudfoot down to a science, literally. Behavioral red flags. No spontaneous plea to the public or child. We've never heard Chris ask an abductor or speak directly to Sebastian asking him to come home. We've never heard that in well over a year. Not one time. If you've heard Chris publicly plea and make a spontaneous utterance specifically to an abductor or to Sebastian himself, please put a 1 in the chat. If you have not, please put a 2 in the chat. If you put a 1 in the chat, please reference where you believe you heard it. I don't expect you to remember, but if you do recall him expressing in the camera, Sebastian, please pick up the phone and call 911. Please, seek help. Find a police officer. If you have my stepson, we're not going to stop looking for him. We're coming for you. Please just drop him off at a store, at a gas station, or anything. When have we ever heard either one, either Chris or Katie? We're just on Chris right now, but never. I've never heard him say anything like that. Michelle says, see yourself as a juror, take in deception information. There is your verdict. Not hard, in my opinion. I agreed. BJ Boop says CP would just have to look in a mirror. Yep. Mama Bear says, Betty fan, is there a website? Because there is a fee of them. I think you meant a few of them when I look it up. Betty KP's theory, she said someone abducted him or is holding Sebastian, and she never asked. You're right, Nancy Grace. I remember that the first time we actually heard her concede on him walking out of the house, and that she believes somebody has her son. Mark says, not sure about AI. I think a common middle school would say the same. I know. Well, hey, maybe AI is smarter than a 5th grader. I'm just saying. Bullhorn Betty's not. Cut some AI slack. Cut AI some slack. There we go. I can't formulate full sentences this evening, but that's okay. We still love you, Mark. We still love you. Shirley H says CP and KP's behavior is not the behavior of a parent of a missing child, and it is disgusting, and they need to be in jail. They needed to be in jail 15 months ago. Yeah, before he even went missing because of the abuse, in my opinion. Never. Exactly. Gina H., it's nice to see you now that I can put a face with a name. Hugs and kisses. Come home, you're not in trouble, is what I heard. Come home, you're not in trouble. And that was a long time ago. You know what? But you know what? Like, the deception detective had already identified in this latest video. I think she was prompted because somebody in his chat said, well, Katie did speak to him. And he's like, no, she didn't spontaneously say it. She was asked by the reporter, what would you say to Sebastian? And she never really addressed Sebastian. She addressed the question, I would tell him, blah, blah, blah. So I'm wondering if we probably need to go back and listen to that one, because she might have done the same thing. I would tell him, come home, you're not in trouble. So I'd like, I'm starting to learn with the deception detective, just kind of honing in on those things. And like I say, I recommend if my chat, my moderators can pop the newest video URL in for the deception detective, I'd greatly appreciate it. We still have a contest we need to create, because I still have a deception deck to give away. And I still have a $25 gift card that needs to be given away too. We've got two things that we need to like a giveaway. And I need to find out. So actually, if you guys can think of a way that we can have some type of contest to give away the deception detective, the deception deck, as well as a $25 gift card, please send what your suggestions are to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Reference contest in the subject line, or I may miss it. And I also search for those keywords when I'm ready to move forward with something. Okay, so here is we haven't gotten in it, and I don't think we've gotten into this proactive versus we have proactive help. We did see that. Okay, so now we're at the behavioral red flags. So for Chris Proudfoot, the behavioral red flags are no spontaneous pleas to the public or child, defensive posture when discussing the investigation, aligns more with guilty behavior markers such as Susan Smith and Casey Anthony cases. Overall assessment. Behavior and responses are consistent with individuals seeking to manage perception rather than genuinely seeking child's recovery. Wow. Strong indicators of guilty knowledge. That's sad. That's sad. Let's do the Katie behavioral and psychological profile, and this has three areas and an overall assessment. So this is the behavioral observations. Speaks about Sebastian in past tense. He would have turned 16. Provides vague and minimalistic responses when questioned. Needs external prompts to answer direct questions. The reporter is the one that has to coax the questions out of her. When she asks a question, it's silent air until the reporter kind of fills it. And the deception detective goes over that more in his video that has been dropped. Needs external prompts to answer direct question. Focuses on herself. We are receiving threats rather than Sebastian. Limited visible emotional connection to Sebastian on camera. That is the hardest part. Limited visible emotional connection to Sebastian on camera. Psychological profile. Detached emotional presentation. Likely high in avoidance coping. Struggles under moderate pressure, long pauses, and vague responses. Possible anxiety-related shutdown behaviors. Behavioral red flags for Katie Proudfoot. Failure to directly address potential abductor. no spontaneous call to action for public help, talks about herself more than her missing child, displays knowledge leakage through verbal slip-ups. Even AI has picked up knowledge leakage through verbal slip-ups. The overall assessment, behavior, and response strongly align with individuals harboring guilty knowledge, consistent with deceptive behavior baseline observed in missing child hoax cases. Now, here is a relationship profile for Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Relationship dynamic. Chris appears dominant, Katie appears submissive. Katie often defers or follows Chris's lead in conversations. Both exhibit defensive, guarded behaviors toward public and media. Mutual focus on self-protection rather than the child's welfare. Shared lawyered up posture suggesting coordinated legal strategy. Psychological dynamic. Codependent dynamic possible. Chris leads, Katie supports. Low emotional authenticity in public appearance. Likely high levels of mutual distrust toward external inquiries. Behavior suggests collaboration and joint knowledge of missing child's circumstances. Overall risk assessment. Relationship dynamic and public behavior suggests a coordinated defensive front typical of couples involved in concealment behaviors in a missing child's case, highly concerning from an investigative standpoint. Now, this is AI, and I am certain that FBI investigators and people that do behavioral profiling with law enforcement are amazing at their job. And I'm sure that their assessments and profiles are much more involved and thorough than something that AI has been able to acquire over three videos, 3 live streams. I just want to thank AI, right? We should give AI a round of applause. I think that was very enlightening. I think that, I think what we as the public, when we're dissecting these cases and analyzing these cases, we want to know if we're truly on the right path. Do we not? I mean, we want to make sure, because sometimes these cases are crazy and they go down a lot of rabbit holes. And sometimes we're wondering, we're second guessing ourselves. Am I being too hard on this? Am I seeing what I'm seeing? Am I analyzing this correctly? A whole multitude of self-doubt, right? When we analyze these cases, because we are common sense people, we're realistic people. We use problem solving that we've learned in school, and just by intuition and instinct. But we know in the back of our heads we're not professionals, right? We know that in the back of our heads we're not FBI, criminal profilers, and so we have self-doubt ourselves, right? We know that something doesn't feel right, but are we really on the right track? Is this all in our head, right? I think that's really what led me to this project. I didn't know, and I wanted to feel out AI anyways. I don't know the capabilities of AI. I'm just learning about AI. I'm learning what the capabilities are. I didn't even know if it could do this, right? And I was just playing around with it yesterday, plugging this stuff in. I thought, this is pretty interesting. Oh my gosh, this is pretty interesting. So I think it's very important that we do the profile on Seth Rogers as well. I think that would be very interesting what AI pulls out of Seth Rogers interviews. But very interestingly enough, I feel like we are vindicated by AI. You know, we're not over looking at this. These are our opinions right here, right? How can AI have our opinions? Obviously, our opinions are justified, is what I'm trying to, let you guys understand. It's not all in our head. It's not all in our head. I plugged the whole time Chris was on that hate channels panel. Their whole conversation I plugged in, and AI said it was inappropriate. Inappropriate. Bullhorn Betty believes it's inappropriate, but I wasn't the one saying it. AI was saying it was inappropriate. AI was the one saying that these are highly disturbing conversations in light of the situation at hand. So when we are saying this stuff, we're not off base, y'all. We're not off base. Michelle, KP may not know where CP went and put Sebastian, but I believe she harmed him first and he's no longer here. Then he cleaned it up. That has been my... you guys, if anybody has been with me for a significant amount of time since the beginning of this case, you would know that my very first theory is Chris did it because of the hatred he had for Sebastian. I knew that early on. When I get into this case, I put my feelers out and I lift heaven and earth to find out information. I'm in every single chat room, every single Reddit, everything. I read everything. I analyze everything. And I learned early on the issues within that family and going on in the public light while they're arguing outside of the home. I knew all of it. I knew what was said early on. I would say I started this case legitimately on about, even though I think we ran one little 2-minute teaser on it, I think on March 10th, just to see the audience, how the audience took the case and see if they wanted to go into it. And so we started diving into the Sebastian Rogers case. And my first theory was Chris had this hatred and Katie wouldn't give up her son. And he snuck in there and took care of the problem. That's what I originally thought had happened. And then as we were going through it, Susiana as well as Pebbles were reminding me that we needed to be focusing on Katie because it appears Katie was the only one in the house that weekend with Sebastian. And I was very, very reserved and very reluctant to start looking at the mother of this child. But if the shoe fits, you have to follow the leads where the leads go. And, over the course of because it takes me anywhere between 72 hours to a week, sometimes longer, to get just a pulse on the case. But this one, we got a pulse on the case very, very quickly. I think within a week, we started realizing that there was a lot of problems with their statements. We started realizing that they were inconsistent at best. And we started, I was, long story short, these are all the assessments that I had made early on in this case. And just to see that, we're not that far off base it's reassuring, I guess, is where I'm going with this. It's reassuring. Oh my goodness. Grave Crime with Grace Gift. I can't, why? I think it's only your name. I think I screw up your name every single day that we come here. I am so sorry, Grave Crime with Grace. Thank you. Gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, don't forget to tell Grave Crime with Grace, thank you for those gifted memberships. And for those 5 beautiful people, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room. Welcome aboard. It's going to be a bumpy ride. We like fighting so hard we go to jail. Now, I'm just joking. I've never been to jail for not breaking the law until I met Sumner County. So it's been great. SBED teacher. What a beautiful, lovely person. Thank you so much, SBED teacher. God bless you for that. gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from SPED Teacher, please don't forget to tell SPED Teacher thank you so much. And for the 5 beautiful people that just got your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, welcome aboard. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Guys, it has been amazing talking to you. Don't forget to go over and check out the Deception Detective. Again, he is an attorney-trained statement analysis, and he released a detailed breakdown of Katie Proudfoot's latest TV interview. The findings, deeply unsettling. We went over the takeaways. I counted about 5 takeaways for the people that are just coming in and didn't hear the first part of our show. The 5 key takeaways are: first, when parents of missing child speak publicly, we expect them to use present tense. One of the things that the Deception Detective picked up on was Katie's slip of he would have been 16. That was a chilling indicator that she may already know his fate. Second, genuine parents cooperate openly during interviews, but Katie was evasive. When asked if anything unusual happened that night, the night Sebastian vanished, she hesitated. The reporter had to fill in her silence, suggesting, was it a normal night? Which Katie then simply repeated. The third, her answers were vague. Instead of describing what she saw in Sebastian's room that morning, things like tussled bed sheets or an open window, she only said he wasn't there. This is classic deflection, telling what wasn't seen instead of what was. The fourth that was picked up was sincere parents facing the unknown usually address their missing child or any potential abductor directly through the camera. Katie didn't. Even when prompted to send a message to Sebastian, she didn't look into the camera. She spoke about what she would say, not to him. Fifth, there was no spontaneous call for help. Ironically, it was the journalist, not Katie, who gave viewers the number to call if they spotted Sebastian. So we just went over those things. And again, the Deception Detective didn't outright accuse Katie of harming her son, but he did lay down the foundation of deception that he saw. So I absolutely recommend my entire audience going over to the Deception Detective. Don't forget to let them know Bullhorn Betty sent you. Put a little bullhorn in the chat if you have a comment. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you guys have seen Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, please, please, please call out to the local or nearest law enforcement. Just pick up the phone, dial 911 if you see him. Otherwise, please send your inquiries and your request or your information to 1-800-TBI-FIND. And although I didn't grab their number and should have, in the alternative, please reach out to Sumner County's Sheriff's Office immediately. There is a $447,000 reward being offered for any information leading to the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers, his safe return, or the successful prosecution of those that caused this situation. All right, guys, thanks for coming to the Bullhorn Betty Show. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday evening. Tomorrow is going to be Manic Monday. I'm going to be on the road. I've got to head back to Tennessee for April 16th hearing. So God bless you. Say a prayer over my travels. I need to have safe travels. I hope I don't get hurt having to go to this ridiculous nonsense, because I tell you what, if I get hurt having to go back when I've committed absolutely no crimes in a county, in a state that I was there for 3 days, there's going to be hell to pay. I'm just letting it, you guys heard it here first. You guys heard it here first. We always have protest signs in the back of my vehicle, so remember that. Please, if you show up to the courthouse, please wear green in honor of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. God bless each and every one of you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. Have a great night. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.